Hey guys, welcome to another VATSIM VFR tutorial here on the AviationPro channel. In this video we're going to start flying VFR. We're going to start with flying some circuits and give you an introduction to VFR phraseology for VATSIM. So in this video we're going to be flying circuits, and as I said in the previous video, this is a great way to get used to talking to ATIS and getting used to VFR flying by looking up visual references and making a lot of touch and goes, takeoffs and landings in order to get acquainted with VFR flying. So we'll first take a look and do a little bit of a recap of circuits, and then we're going to step into the aircraft, file flight plan, take a look at the circuit that we're flying and fly the circuit as best we can. And with that we're going to add our first ATC phraseology, so you kind of have an idea of how you should talk to ATC to do a simple VFR flight like this. So let's go back to the basics again of the circuit, just a little bit of a recap. So again, this is what the circuit looks like. We have the takeoff lag, then we have crosswind, downwind, we're gonna usually want to report downwind, then we have base, and then we have final. The default height of circuits, in this case in the Netherlands, is 700 feet above aerodrome level, but I can already tell you that for Groningen Airport Eelde, the circuit height is 1000 feet, and I looked this up in the aeronautical information publications, as you can see. So we're going to be flying at 1000 feet. Since Groningen Airport is pretty much on sea level, we're just going to be flying at 1000 feet using the local QNH by looking at our altimeter. Now again, by default circuits are left turn, so usually it's a left hand pattern. In this case, Groningen Airport Eelde, runway 23 is active. As you can see on the chart, a separate circuit is published, which in this case is also a left hand circuit. If runway 05, however, were to be active, then we would be flying a right hand circuit. But in this case, runway 23, so we're going to be flying left turns. And keep in mind again that these circuit defaults vary per airport and per country, so make sure you do just look it up. Now, circuits have entry and exit procedures. Now this of course varies by country and also per airport, so make sure that you look it up. In the Netherlands, a standard joining of the circuits, a standard entry procedure, is by joining downwind at a 90 degree angle. At larger airports though, for example controlled airports like the one at Groningen, there are actually specific routes that take you to the circuit, and then you will join the circuit from there, or ATC might also send you to a particular part of the circuit. For example, if you follow this arrival, the controller might at some point over at this waypoint direct you to the left base of runway 23, and then okay, I don't have to join downwind and join in the middle, I can directly fly to the base leg and then join final from there. And then of course we also have exit procedures. For a normal circuit, usually the exit is on the takeoff leg, where you either fly straight ahead or a 45 degree angle of some sort. But again, for larger airports and controlled airports, there are often specific departure routes. For example, again here at Groningen Airport. At even larger airports, there may sometimes also be something called like a corridor, so specific VFR corridors that will take you to a particular runway at the airport safely. Now, as you can imagine, it can get quite busy in a VFR circuit, especially at uncontrolled airports. There's not really someone who is managing the traffic or instructing other traffic to halt before entering the circuit. So this is something that you have to be very wary of, especially if you're flying into an uncontrolled airport and joining the circuit there. Some tricks that you can apply if you know it's very busy at the circuit is by simply holding away from the aerodrome traffic zone and staying away from the airport until it seems a little bit less busy again. And again, if you're flying into a controlled airport, the controller might actually tell you to hold above a specific visual waypoint. Okay, so keep that in mind that it can happen. If you're joining the circuit and you notice that traffic is in the way, you really have to be kind of proactive at avoiding the traffic. For example, if there's an aircraft right in front of you, it doesn't make sense to try to get in front of that other traffic. It makes more sense to actually go behind the traffic and make a little bit of space. What you can also do, if it's really busy and if there's really a chance of collision, is fly in orbit. So a 360 degree turn in a particular direction in order to create a little bit more room and create a little bit of gap between the traffic. And you have to coordinate this with other pilots on the frequency if you're flying into an uncontrolled airport. But also at a controlled airport, the air traffic controller might actually instruct you to do an orbit. Okay, so make sure that you're aware of this. So that's a bit of an overview of the VFR circuit. Now let's get actually flying. We'll step into the cockpit shortly. First we'll take a look at the particular circuit at runway 23 at Groningen Airport Eelde. And then we're actually going to file a flight plan and then get into the aircraft and fly some circuits.
So guys, welcome into the cockpit of the Cessna 172. As you can see, it's a rather old Cessna. It's the Coronado add-on. It's not the most realistic version out there, but it's actually, the aircraft that I used in real life for my very first flying lesson. So it's kind of cool. And we're parked here at Groningen Airport Eelde. And let me just give you a bit of an outside view. This is the livery for today. And as you can see, our registration right here is Papa Hotel Tango Golf Mike. And basically that's also going to be our call sign. When you're flying general aviation aircraft, you don't really have a call sign like Speedbird 123 or Lufthansa 6 for Mike. You have the registration on the back of the aircraft is also your call sign. So our call sign for today is Papa Hotel Tango Golf Mike. But you will notice that ATC will shorten it. So basically what you want to do is take the first letter and then the last two letters, and that's going to be your call sign, so Papa Golf Mike. So you will notice that your registration will be abbreviated by ATC, and when ATC does that, you're allowed to use that abbreviation from then on as well. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart of our circuit for today. Now, again, this airport has a published circuit, so there's no default circuit. We really have to fly it quite carefully by navigating using visual landmarks, but that's okay. It's very good for practice. Helps you navigating using visuals. So let's take a look at the chart. Again, we're going to be departing out of runway 23, and as you can see, we're basically going to fly straight ahead, and then pretty much quite quickly after passing the threshold of runway 05, we're going to make a left turn as we pass over or in front of the town of Donderen. As you can see, that's an area to be avoided. So you have to kind of look at the chart here. What can I recognize? Well, you can see there's not a lot to recognize right here. Actually, the town of Donderen itself, place with quite a few houses, is probably the best to recognize. So we make the turn before that, and then we're going to turn left to crosswind and then left onto the downwind leg. And as you can see, our next visual reference point is kind of the town of Eelde, as you can see right here. This is also an area to be avoided due to noise abatement. And then from then on, we continue on the downwind leg, and then kind of pass over the highway. We can use the highway junction right here in order to kind of get a reference, and then we'll continue with the circuit. The default circuit, passes in front of the town of Glimmen, so basically we can use that as a visual landmark as well. As you can see, we kind of pass by this lake, and then as we turn left to base and then left to final, we should have the runway in sight pretty quickly. We cross the highway again, we cross this little river again, and then we are final runway 23. So that's kind of an overview of the circuit. So really look out for landmarks. So, cities, rivers, little lakes, highway junctions, railroads. So on some charts you will also see power lines, as you can see on the chart as well. Those are also good visual landmarks. And make sure that you also take a look at obstacles. For example, the tower here at the airport, the control tower is an actual obstacle. As you can see, it's 103 feet high. So you have to be a little bit careful with that, right? So you might find such obstacles, especially near larger cities. You will find a lot of these obstacles with their associating altitudes. So that's the circuit for today. As you can see, it's the light aircraft circuit. If we would fly turboprops, we would probably be flying the larger circuit. But for now, we're just going to stick to the small one. And we'll take a look at the phraseology as we go. But first of all, let's quickly take a look at the flight plan form, kind of see what that looks like. It's pretty similar to what you've seen in the theory video. So let's say we're connected to VATSIM. Of course, we're not actually on VATSIM because this is a training video. Let's say we've connected, so we want to fill flight plan. Of course, we're going to be flying VFR. Our departure airport is going to be Groningen. Our destination airport is also going to be Groningen Airport Eelde. You have to fill in an alternate, just in case, maybe the runway gets closed and, we cannot land here anymore. In that case, we have to divert. So we're just going to take Lelystad Airport in the Netherlands as our diversion waypoint. Departure time, well, we'll just say that our departure time is 08:30. En route, let's say we're going to be flying for about 30 minutes, circuits for about 30 minutes, and let's say we have fuel available for 30 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes. I did not really do any fuel calculations or things like that because I want to keep it simple. That's really aircraft specific, and I really want to focus on the VFR procedures right here. Cruise speed, well, that's kind of dependent on the aircraft you're using as well. So let's say we're cruising at about 80 knots. And cruise altitude, well, we're just flying circuits today, so we're going to stay at the circuit height of 1,000 feet, okay? Then we have the heavy aircraft. Well, we're not heavy at all, of course. Equipment suffix, you can kind of, look up in the table what kind of equipment you have on board, and you can select one of the codes. I'm going to ignore that for now and just enter the route to keep it simple. VFR to stay within the circuit. Okay, so as you can see, not a particular waypoint, but just this just notifies ATC that you're gonna stay within the circuit. Remarks, you can put any remarks right here. For example, it would be advisable to put here like a remark, 2 touch and goes, so that ATC knows that you are, performing 2 touch and goes, and then you're going to make a full stop landing. All right. So you can provide this extra information to the controller. If you don't, the controller will likely ask you, what your plans are for the circuit, because of course they need to coordinate with other traffic as well, and will send and receive voice. So that's kind of the flight plan form that you can use for a circuit. So you can now file the flight plan, and then we'll get in touch with ATC and do our first bit of phraseology for VFR flying. Alright, so first of all, let's bring some power on this airplane. We'll just turn on the batteries, gives us access to the radios. And the first thing that you would do normally is listen to the ATIS. So you can find the ATIS frequency on the chart. It's also going to be online if this particular airport is online, of course. So 133.55 would be the frequency. 133.55, and then you can listen to the ATIS. Of course, it doesn't work right now, but it will give you the latest information as regards to the weather, the runway that's in use, and the QNH. The current QNH is 1017, so I've set that in the altimeter. This uses different units, but another trick that you can use is look up the aerodrome elevation. Just make sure that the altimeter reads the same as the actual aerodrome elevation. Okay, so there we go. So after you've listened to the ATIS, it's time to get in touch with air traffic control, and the first thing that we're going to do is do a radio check. This allows us to kind of check whether our microphone setup is working, especially when you're flying on VATSIM for the first time. This is a great way to make sure that all your hardware and your push to talk button, for example, is set up properly. So for your radio check, you can just tune the first frequency that you're going to be using. So 121.7 is the delivery frequency at this airport, and here we are able to do the radio check. As always, make sure that the frequency is clear before you start talking, and then you are allowed to chime in. Eelde delivery, good morning, Papa Hotel Tango Golf Mike, request radio check on frequency 121.7. Papa Golf Mike, Eelde delivery, goedemorgen, read you 5. Thank you, Papa Golf Mike. So, radio check done. We know that our, hardware is properly set up and that the radios inside the aircraft are actually working. So the next step is to ask for startup. As discussed in the theory video, we do not really ask for a clearance like for an IFR flight. In this case, we just ask for a startup. Again, this may be different, a little bit different in your country. We are going to ask the startup at delivery, and then we'll be transferred to tower later on for taxi. But basically, what we can expect for the startup clearance is we get an active runway and a QNH, and of course we also need to take note of the latest ATIS information. So let's just say we have listened to the ATIS. The current ATIS information is echo, and basically we're going to use that to notify the controller that we have listened to the ATIS and that we have the latest information about the weather and situation at the airport. So let's take a look at startup clearance. Now again, we'll start with the call sign. In this case, we already contacted this controller. He has already abbreviated the call sign to Papa Golf Mike, so we can use that from now on for the moment. Whenever you go to a new frequency, you have to first report in with your entire call sign again. So we're just going to start with a call sign. I'm going to report what aircraft type we are and where we are parked. Well, in this case, we are parked in front of the tower, as you can see right here. So that's as a reference for the controller to see what our position exactly is. You can also say that you're on a particular apron or a particular parking spot, or you can say that you're at the fueling station, whatever, as long as the ATC has a reference as to what aircraft you exactly are on the apron. Okay, then we're going to say what kind of flight we're going to do. So we're going to do VFR to stay within the circuit. We're going to report that we have information echo received, and we're going to report the amount of persons on board. It's not really necessary per se, but it helps in case of an emergency, ATC to determine how many people are on board, and for the emergency services to respond to that appropriately. So in this case, I am on board, you are on board, so we have 2 persons on board basically, and then we're going to request startup. So let's see how that goes. And a Papa Golf Mike is a Cessna 172 in front of the tower VFR to stay within the circuit. We have information echo, 2 PUB, request startup. Papa Golf Mike, startup approved, information echo correct, runway 23, QNH 1017. Startup approved, runway 23, QNH 1017, Papa Golf Mike. Papa Golf Mike correct, squawk 7000 for taxi, contact tower on 118.7. Bye bye. Squawk 7000 and tower on 118.7 for taxi, Papa Golf Mike. So there you go, that's a startup clearance. As you can hear, the controller gave us the squawk code, the VFR squawk code in the Netherlands. So 7000, there we go, that's been set. And basically, he gave us the active runway, runway 23, so that's confirmed, and the QNH 1017 is set, okay? So basically, we're now cleared for startup, so you can, start up the engine according to, your own airplane. You can do your checklists. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Let's give the mixture full rich, and then we'll start the engine. Of course, you want to make sure that your beacon light is on, and at this airport we'll also have our taxi and landing lights on as soon as we're taxiing and in the air respectively. Okay, so there we go, engine has been started up. Again, you can make this as complicated as you want. I'm going to keep it simple, not bother about a specific checklist for this aircraft. So we've started up. We know what runway to taxi to, so let's open up the ground chart so we have an idea where we're going to be going. So again, we're parked in front of the tower, so here on the kilo apron, so we can simply expect to taxi out left and then join the Alpha taxiway and then hold short of runway 23, which is holding point Sierra 1. Now the thing is about VFR aircraft, you really have to make sure that your engine is running properly. So usually the controller will allow you time, at the holding point to kind of do a run-up of your engine. And this allows you to check the magnetos and check if everything is working properly. So basically we're not going to report ready for departure at Sierra 1 yet. We're going to do a run-up first and then report ready for departure. Again, at your airport this might be a bit different. Maybe you have to do the run-up, at the apron while you're still parked. So, you have to kind of adapt to that. But anyway, we have a startup clearance. Again, it's also maybe a little bit different in your region, but as you can see, these are the basics. So you request startup, you receive the active runway and the QNH and probably a squawk code as well. So let's tune in the next frequency that has been given to us, 1187. That's the tower controller. Squawk code has been set, and basically we can ask for taxi right now. Eelde Tower, good morning. Papa Hotel Tango Golf Mike in front of the tower, request taxi. Papa Golf Mike, Eelde Tower, good morning. Taxi to holding point Sierra 1, runway 23. Taxi holding point Sierra 1, runway 23, Papa Golf Mike. So there you go, taxi clearance has been received. As you can see, it's pretty similar to any taxi clearance normally. So we'll taxi out, take it easy. Again, this is a general aviation aircraft, so we're going to be steering on the ground using our rudder and differential brakes, so that's going to be a little bit different. So we'll just taxi left here. Again, depending on your scenery, this is going to be a little bit accurate or not, so let's just take a look. We should be taxiing somewhere up here, and we're just going to follow this line right here, and then we get to Sierra 1. And Papa Golf Mike, your planned amount of touch and goes? 2 touch and goes followed by a full stop landing, Papa Golf Mike. Papa Golf Mike, roger. As you can see, the controller has asked us, our plans. If you did not fill it in the remarks of the flight plan, they might ask you at this point already. The tower controller is kind of interested in that, okay? So keep that in mind, that you might receive such request. I'm gonna turn left here. Just take it easy, don't taxi too fast. It's really not necessary. Now I've loaded up the aircraft with plenty of fuel, as you can see, so we're nice and heavy. So we have all the time available in order to practice VFR. And as you can see, holding point Sierra 1 is coming up. And just some info, sometimes they might ask you to go to one particular side of the taxiway so that another aircraft may pass. You're a small airplane, so this can happen. So keep that in mind, that you might receive such request. As you can see, runway 23 is here, and we'll hold short at the holding point. Common thing about with small airplanes like this is to put the aircraft nose into the wind before the run up. So there we go. The wind is coming from this direction, of course, so somewhere like here. And we'll put the parking brakes on. So now you can do your checklist, you know, before takeoff checklist, do a bit of a run up. So for example, here in the Cessna, we can rev the engine up a little bit, 1700 RPM. And then we can check the magnetos right here. See how the RPM changes and all that stuff. So just be aware that the air traffic controller, you know, takes this into account, that you need this time. And then when you're done, you can report ready for departure. Just make sure that all the indications are in the green, and then you're good to go. Alright. One thing that you want to make sure right at this stage is also to turn on the transponder. Make sure it's to the active mode. There we go. It's on, as you can see. And we'll just turn on our landing lights as well at this stage. And of course, make sure that you have your VFR chart at the ready of the circuit, and then we can report ready for departure. And Papa Golf Mike is ready for departure. And Papa Golf Mike, wind 250 degrees, 4 knots, runway 23, cleared for takeoff, report downwind. Cleared for takeoff, runway 23, report downwind, Papa Golf Mike. So, as you can hear, we are cleared for takeoff. The controller gave us an instruction to report downwind, so that's what we're going to do. We'll release the parking brakes and then we'll get going. So, VFR chart at the ready, and then we'll take it easy. So, just verify you're on the correct runway. Runway 23. Alright, guys. So, there we go. We'll advance the throttle to full power, and we'll climb on full power, and then we'll level off at 1,000 feet. It's 55 knots, we want to start rotating. There we go. So at this point, you know, we are airborne, so we're going to climb to 1,000 feet, but you already want to look outside, okay? See if you can find the first, you know, landmark that we're going to be using to fly the circuit. Now, we're still flying above the runway, so we should not be required to turn yet, so that will be okay. As you can see, I can already see some houses right here. This looks like the town that we're going to, you know, fly in front to, you know, fly the crosswind leg for this circuit. So let's take a look. Yes, looks like it. And then we're just going to continue the turn right here. Alright. So you can also use your heading indicator, of course, to make sure that you are, you know, kind of, you know, staying on the track of the runway during this takeoff leg. And we're reaching 1,000 feet. So we're going to reduce power. Don't worry too much about your instruments, look outside. That's so important. You can reduce the engine power just by, you know, kind of hearing it, right? So we're now on the crosswind leg, and let's just continue the turn for now. And then we can see where we kind of end up. We want to be flying a heading of about 050 degrees, so that's the opposite direction of the runway. There we go. So now we can kind of assess where we are, right? So we have the runway on our left, as you can see. That's good. We're flying parallel to the runway. This right here looks like the town of Eelde, right? So that's good. We want to fly just around it, so I think we're ending up pretty well here on the downwind leg. And since we're on the downwind leg, we're going to report it to ATC. And Papa Golf Mike downwind runway 23. Papa Golf Mike, roger. Okay, ATC does not give any further instructions, so we're just going to continue, and then we can expect probably a landing clearance as we turn final. So let's take a look outside again. Here we have that little lake that we can see on the chart. We have the town right here that we, you know, want to fly in front of in order to fly base. And as you can see, we're passing the highway as well. So here's the little junction right here. We still have the runway off our left. And if there's no particular circuit published, the point that you want to turn base is usually kind of when the runway is over your left shoulder, okay? So as you can see, it's pretty much over our left shoulder at this point, so it would be a good idea to start turning right now. And Papa Golf Mike, wind 250 degrees 4 knots, runway 23, clear touch and go, report downwind. Clear touch and go, runway 23, report downwind, Papa Golf Mike. So we're now turning base, and we're going to start reducing power, get some flaps out. You know, this is kind of the point where you want to start your descent. So keep a good look on the chart, see what we're doing. Again, it's a bit difficult to see in the simulator. Normally you would be able to kind of pop your head down and peek where the runway is, so I'm kind of guessing right now, but that's okay. Let's see how we end up. Well, we're ending up a bit short. It's not the perfect circuit yet, but that's okay. You know, we have to keep practicing this, right? So we're now final runway 23. We're gonna steer in. We're a bit high on the approach, but that's okay. We'll try our best to kind of land within the touchdown zone, but since we're a light aircraft and we're just doing a touch and go, this is not really required. And I'll be honest with you, for me it's also been quite a while ago since I flew this aircraft, so it's a little getting used to. Anyway, we're cleared for the touch and go, so that's good. There we go. It's a bit rough, but that's alright. We've touched down and we can provide full power again. We'll put the flaps up and take off again. Phew, that's our first circuit done, guys. There we go. So we'll just climb happily again. We now kind of have an idea of what the circuit looks like, you know, what we have to take into account, and we're just gonna climb back to 1,000 feet again. Make sure that you also trim the aircraft so you don't have to apply constant pressure, you know, during the climb out and you know, during the cruise here in the circuit. So there we go. Passing 500 feet. Here's the town again that we want to fly in front of in order to complete the circuit. Now at some point you don't really have to look at the chart anymore. You can just really look outside, so that's really nice. I'll make a left turn. Try to make it a coordinated turn, you know, by using your rudder pedals as well. You know, that's different from airliner flying especially. And I'll just look outside. There we go. Let's take a quick peek. Alright, here's the town of Eelde. So we can continue now our turn towards the downwind. And whoops, we're at 1,000 feet, so let's level off. There we go. And we're back on the downwind again. So let's report downwind to ATC. And Papa Golf Mike, downwind, runway 23. Papa Golf Mike, roger, report ready for left base. Report ready, left base, Papa Golf Mike. Okay, so this is a specific instruction. The air traffic controller asks us to report ready for the left base to runway 23. And this may be due to traffic, you know, they might want us to extend the downwind leg a little bit. So you can expect these kind of instructions, okay? So that when we report ready to turn left base, we're not allowed to turn left base yet because, you know, there's simply traffic. So that's something that you can expect. So let's see what happens. And Papa Golf Mike ready for left base, runway 23. Papa Golf Mike, due to traffic, extend the downwind and turn left base around the circuit marker. Extend downwind and enter left base at the circuit marker, Papa Golf Mike. So, a specific instruction, you know, there could be traffic on final, which causes us to extend our downwind legs around the circuit marker, the controller set, so kind of around this town that we're flying past right now, as you can see. So we'll extend our downwind here, and then we're going to start turning in. So, since I ended up a little bit high on the approach last time, before turning base I'm going to put some flaps out, get the power out to start descending, and we'll turn around this town kind of where the circuit marker would be, This would probably be a little bit better visible in real life, the circuit marker. Not sure if it's actually in this scenery. So, but anyways, we'll just fly around this town. As you can see, here's another good reference point. Here's a little lake that we can also use to kind of estimate what our position is. And then we should be getting the airport in sight soon. There we go. Well, it looks like a pretty nice turn. That's already a little bit of a better circuit, isn't it? There we go. Runway's in sight. We'll await touch and go clearance. Again, there may be traffic in front, so keep that in mind. I'll put out some more flaps this time, so we can fly nice and slowly. As you can see, you know, also for me, this is practice, you know. This was the first time I flew a circuit, so it's nice to keep practicing this and, you know, kind of take it easy. Getting used to navigating using visual landmarks, getting used to flying a general aviation airplane. Gives also time to trim the aircraft a little bit. Keep the power up if necessary. As you can see, we're now a little bit low, it seems, on glide slope. Again, all doing visual, right? We're not relying on any instrument landing system or anything like that, so that's kind of cool. And Papa Golf Mike, wind 250 degrees, 4 knots, runway 23, clear touch and go, report downwind again. Clear touch and go, runway 23, Papa Golf Mike. So, we're cleared for the touch and go, and we'll report downwind again with the controller. Especially with smaller airplanes, you really want to use power to adjust you know, your rate of descent, and then use your pitch to control your airspeed. And at some point you will kind of get the hang of it. As you can see, we have a slight crosswind, so we probably have to give a little bit of left rudder. We'll idle the power and fly the airplane. Not too early. There we go. And we've touched down. Full power. And we'll enter the circuit again. We'll climb to 1,000 feet. So that was our second touch and go. Again, we're going to be doing a full stop landing right now. And of course you can make it as many touch and goes as you want, you know. As you can see so far, it's really good for training. You know, you can practice these circuits offline first to get acquainted with the area and with the landmarks, and then you can go online and then add ATC to the mix, right? So that's absolutely great fun. Okay, we're gonna start the left turn again towards the crosswind leg. Keep an eye on our altitudes. So make a nice and steady turn so we end up nicely on downwind. And don't be afraid to make corrections, right, at some point. Like right now, we might be ending up a little bit too far left of downwind, so you know, take a peek at the runway, take a peek at the terrain or the town ahead. So let's make sure that we, you know, stay nice and clear of this town. Just about there. And also look outside, you know, to the horizon. You don't have to use your artificial horizon, although in flight sim that may be a little bit easier. But you can also use the actual horizon, you know, kind of see where your nose is in relation to that. So let's report downwind again. And Papa Golf Mike downwind, runway 23. Papa Golf Mike, roger. So again, we're flying past the lake right here, and we have the town coming up right here for our base turn. Papa Golf Mike, wind 250 degrees, 4 knots, runway 23, clear to land. Clear to land, runway 23, Papa Golf Mike. Okay, we've received our landing clearance already, so that's nice. We'll start reducing power. Get first notch of flaps out. And then we'll start turning. What you can also do is kind of lift your wing a little bit to kind of see where you are in the circuit. So let's start turning base. Again, use the visual references as much as you can. Here's the runway, and we can start and continue our turn. And we'll go full flaps this time for full stop landing. As you can see, we're ending up nicely. Runway is in sight. We are clear to land. There we go. Oh, nice touchdown. There we go, and we'll brake. Papa Golf Mike, backtrack runway 23, taxi to the Kilo apron via Alpha. Backtrack runway 23, taxi to the Kilo apron via Alpha, Papa Golf Mike. Okay, so in this case we're cleared for a so-called backtrack, and this means that we can simply, taxi back onto the runway. We're a small aircraft, we're not using a lot of runway as you can see, so sometimes it makes more sense to simply taxi back on a runway instead of, rolling the aircraft out all the way to the next exit. Okay, we'll just taxi back to taxiway Alpha as you can see, and then we taxi back to the apron, and that's kind of it, guys. That's kind of the phraseology that we're going to be using for a simple circuit flight. This is the phraseology and procedures used at this airport. It may be different at your airport, only slightly different, but this kind of should give you a good idea what you can expect, and you can kind of apply this, and just make sure that you know what's happening in the circuit. Keep a good listen to what other air traffic is around, so you're able to deal with it, and just practice offline first with the circuit, so you get used to the visual landmarks, get used to flying it, and then you can join VATSIM and go online and add ATIS phraseology to the mix. So we can turn our landing lights off, we can put our transponder to standby. Controller might also instruct you to go to a particular flight school or a particular, aero club. That's kind of the things that you can expect. And the controller might also ask you where to park. So if it's unsure where you want to park, maybe you want to park at the general aviation apron, or maybe you want to actually park at the I don't know, maybe the corporate aviation platform, for example, because you're transporting some business people. You never know. So this is something that the air traffic controller may actually ask. But if you're a local airplane that the controller knows, this should be no problem. There we go. We'll set the parking brakes, and we shut down our engine. There you go.
So there you go. That's how you fly VFR circuits on the VATSIM network. I hope this has helped you and kind of giving you more, rest and comfort as to VFR flying. As you can see, VFR circuits is something you can easily do, very easy to get used to, and as long as you take it easy and plan ahead, and make sure that you get your phraseology right, it's great fun. Of course, you cannot expect yourself to be pitch perfect, especially regarding phraseology immediately. But the more you practice this, the more used you will get to it, and the more fun it will be. So thanks for watching this VFR tutorial here on the AviationPro channel. Make sure you check out the previous VATSIM theory video, and make sure to stand by for the next video where we're going to take a look at VFR departures. And if you appreciate this tutorial series so far, head over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/aviationpro, if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your VFR flying.